Okay, amazing. 1, 2, 3. They always say that, and I don't need to record it. So here we are with Francisco. I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
Hi, Rosanna. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, it is so good. It's raining outside. How do you feel with rain here in Colorado?
I don't really like it. I prefer Colorado very dry. My place is super humid, so Colorado dries me out and it feels really great.
I love the rain. I miss my country so much. Okay, well, now we're going to start the interview. Hello, you are listening to Audio Information Network of Colorado. Thank you so much for joining us. Today in our studios, we have the visit of Francisco from Kaiut Yoga. And he has come in a rainy afternoon to talk to us about how is it that yoga helps people, not only in the physical way and in our bodies, but also in the spirit. Welcome.
Thank you, Rosanna. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thanks for the interview.
I have so many questions, but the one that I always like to ask people when they come to see us is, what's your passion in life?
My passion in life is for sure teaching. Have no doubt. I'm definitely crazy about what I do, and teaching is, I would say, it's not my second nature, it's my first nature.
Francisco, the first time I heard about you, I think it's like 6 years. Oh, Francisco is coming. I heard a bunch of people talking around a coffee table. Yeah, he's coming. Oh, I'm not even going to go to work, they said. I need to take that class. It's a must. And I was like really curious. And it was not until this year that I was able to join your class and experience myself a class with you. And
How was it?
it was sweet. That's the best word that I can use. But also, as I was walking out today, I heard somebody talking about something super profound. This gentleman was saying today that he is changing in a way that is radical. He is embracing how to be open-minded and not close to femininity, to the female, to the beautiful woman that he's married, and he's understanding that he needs to really not be ego center. And when he started talking about that, I said to myself, coming out from a yoga class, this is not a normal conversation. You're always talking about muscles and where it hurts, or how good you feel, but this was a profound conversation. He shared with me that he has a daughter and that he wants to change because he wants a better life for her daughter.
That's amazing. I hope my class had something to do with that.
I think so. I really think so. So I have a lot of questions, but I would like you to, the first thing is to explain what is this yoga and why people are so passionate about it.
I think this yoga, I would say, it's probably very simple, fundamentalist type of yoga. Because I've had myself many different accidents from my early years. Doing yoga was never a easy task. I needed to find my way around my own issues in order to do yoga without getting all my ailments more, I would say, more messed up, more complicated, more painful, more complex. So that led me to or through a whole process of research and more research and practice and study. And therefore, this practice came about for me naturally, but I understand that it's kind of new to many people. I think it's a very basic type of yoga. although it communicates to the intelligence of the human body quite a lot. So even if you don't really like it at first, in a sense, in a certain level, it makes total sense. You might struggle because you've seen other types of yoga before. You might struggle because you think you can do more, but at the same time, your system just tells you, wow, it makes total sense and I need it. So it is very simple, very much available to everyone. It's been designed to be available to all sorts of people, all ages, all different histories and body types. Um, I rarely struggle to have a student feeling or noting that it makes sense in all different ways.
You're right. Here in Boulder, people do yoga, and there's all these kinds, and it's famous. This town is really famous. All the different yogas that there are available for people. But my experience today with you was like this. I was in my pose, and you had the magic words to bring me back to my body and really feel what I was feeling and rest in peace in that sensation. And it reminded me of meditation.
Uh, in the West, we've learned how to do yoga from our regular nervous system state, which is for the most part overcharged and excited and reactive. But actually, yoga was designed in the past to take us back to a very different state of mind. And yoga, I would say probably if you keep going back and back to its more basic definition, yoga is a state of meditation that happens naturally through the body and from the body. So yes, it has to have that flavor. And in the West, we've learned to do yoga in a way that overcharges our mind as well as our body. And that is kind of okay at first, but actually in the long run, it's totally unsustainable. So this is why more and more people from the yoga field are coming to these classes of mine or my studio in Boulder. And they quite often fall in love because it makes total sense and it's beyond the rational level.
When you say people come to your classes, I did a little research and I know that you're going around. For example, you're going to go soon to California to teach, and you just came back from a place in Europe and you had 400 people in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's actually not me. That was my son. My son was leading a set of classes in Amsterdam, preparing or presenting the work to a group, preparing for the teacher training that I'll be leading in Amsterdam this coming November. So he was presenting the work for the first time in that community.
Now I'm going to be radical. You know why? Because last semester, because I'm studying at the university, getting a master's in media and public engagement to improve, because the work that we do here is for blind, visually impaired, and whoever, people that cannot access printed material. And in that category also goes people that have arthritis and cannot, move pages in the newspaper, that they are in a wheelchair for whatever reason. And I'm trying to learn how to get the information to them. And as I was, in my class, I read an article about hips and how hips are the holders of the feelings. And how is it that, different communities really release feelings and tension through the movement of their hips. And I visit my son in New Orleans, and there it was, a beautiful dancer that was really releasing an abundance of energy. So when your class really concentrates, today's class was, concentrating the hips, it got me thinking about this feeling of liberation that they talk about when you connect with it.
It's true. And when it comes to dancing or to having those concepts applied to more of a movement type of activity, it's always important to have one thing in mind. It's not about you having that experience today only. It's about you also doing it in a way that it's going to be sustainable, ideally forever. And for the most part, when we engage the use of the body professionally or even for um, more relaxing purposes, because we enjoy dancing, in all those cases, and mainly when it's a professional engagement with that type of activity, how to do it in a way that you can do it forever. So that's my point. So it's not about you doing before or you turn 30 or at the max when you're in your middle 40s. It's about how to do it in a sustainable way that allows you to have that tool for you as your personal healing tool for as long as possible, ideally forever.
Yeah, that's the slogan in your yoga, that this is something modern that will make your life easier, and that you can feel young forever. And the secret lies in those joints that are around our, you know,
What makes us feel or notice the aging process more aggressively is our mobility. If you think about any elderly person you have met in life, and you add to that person in your imagination mobility, if you can envision your elderly friends and family being at the age of 75, 85, or 95, but moving as they used to move at the age of 35 or 45, then you actually see that the whole perspective on aging changes completely. I do work very closely with a private student. It's a very good friend of mine and a private student that has been very committed to the practice over the past, I would say, at least 8 years. He lives in Boulder, usually doesn't take classes with anybody but me, and we connect over the internet quite often. He just turned 70 this past month, and he's preparing to a new show and he's engaging a whole new side of his life. I would say it's quite impressive for me to see him moving. We were having tea together a few days ago, and I was observing him moving, going to the to the boiler to get some hot water and coming back, and he was moving like a young boy. That was the reading his body was like seeing a adolescent moving. It was light, it was totally free and balanced, and that just tells me over and over again, as much as I see this type of situation, how we don't really know what the potential for aging in the human nature is.
especially now that we're living so long.
Yeah, but we can live long and well. We don't necessarily have to live long, um, noticing our mobility to be diminishing and our joints to be getting rigid and stiff.
I want to ask you the question about gravity, because I listened to a podcast and you were talking about gravity. How yoga and gravity come together?
Well, they've never been separated. Uh, as modern bipeds, we interact with gravity all the time. I just happen to accept that, acknowledge that, and embrace that factor as one of the variables every time I prepare a class. When you're on the floor, I take gravity in consideration. When you're standing, we use gravity that is also interacting with our balance center at that moment. Whether you notice or not, it's a fact. And also, when we have our body or the students' bodies on the floor, that is one of the variables. Let's say that every single pose is like a mathematic equation,
Mm.
and then various equations working together for a whole class plan. One of the main variables we have to take in consideration is gravity. Um, and we start working from the end result. So what's the result we want from every pose? What is the result we want for every class? And then we just deconstruct the whole thing in order to have the proper equation that will deliver the what we call the perfect sequence or the perfect class plan.
So today in the class, I can share with you that I also had a car accident.
Mhm.
And when I was doing, I think it was the last pose, um, I felt precisely here where I bumped my head an activation
Mhm.
while I was doing it. And I said, what's happening? I was, this has to do with alignment, I thought, and neuroscience. And, it's
Yes,
really deep. That's what I think people come to you because they find this deep connection.
yes, everything we have lived stays stored in the system. Uh, Ideally, you want to have the memories of what you have lived before, but not necessarily with its emotional charge, or at least not if the emotional charge is a negative charge.
Mm.
Um, Doing yoga properly allows you to have the memories, but not that negative charge. So we clean up the whole system. I work a lot in Boulder with very well-known therapists, and many of them are very much engaging my practice because they see the deep connection between what we do in the practice room with the trauma release work they work with in their offices, and they think it's a very effective way to literally clean up the system in many senses.
Completely. It's from there's a connection, and I experienced, so I can testify that it was important for me to go to your class today, I think, just to go through the process and understand this. 2006, I had a rollover car accident, bumped my head. It was a mild concussion, but still I was not able to read anymore. The letters were running around, and I had to do a lot of, therapy to
Mhm.
be able to come back to reading, and life that, right and left was a little weird. Um, I didn't know which one was right and left. And it was
Mhm.
also through yoga that I came back. But it's always a constant work. It seems like it's never done.
In a sense, well, when the traumatic process or experience is too intense, definitely it lasts longer. But ideally, you wanna clean it up, having maybe the memory, but not necessarily the traumatic side of it. Cleaning it up is a process, but eventually it's doable to erase.
And if if I connect also the experiences, I know exactly what you're talking about. That it's the fear when my car just roll over. I still remember my thinking about if my kids, my kids. I for a second I forgot that they were not with me,
Mhm.
and I thought they were with me, so I got really afraid. And it's fear what I know that comes to me when situations happen.
Yes, and that gets naturally stored in the physical body, but through the proper work, it's doable to clean it up and to erase and to remove it from the body, um, not allowing the traumatic event to define what you do or how you feel in your daily life.
So besides people that have gone through car accidents or different traumas, who else will benefit from this yoga?
I really, in Brazil, we say it's yoga para todo mundo, which means it's yoga for everybody. I don't know. I don't even know if it sounds appropriate in English. In Portuguese, it sounds very
Yeah, in Spanish too.
very
Yoga
good.
para todo el mundo.
Yes. So, and I say that because I've never seen a person not really benefiting from the practice. In Brazil, I've been quite blessed with the opportunity to be working with various different populations.
I'm curious.
People who've lost one limb or more in accidents or surgeries, or cancer survivors, blind students, deaf students.
And how do you modify your class with a
It's
blind
It's a
student?
teaching method. So everything is about teaching. It's not about the person with a specific necessity changing his or her approach. It's about the teacher being more able to communicate regardless the circumstances in the class. So the adaptation comes from the teaching way, the teaching modality, the teaching skill that has to be developed in order to embrace all those people more properly. And it just works. It just works very well. So the teachers, they learn where to be in class in order to have their voice more properly across the room. They learn different ways to interact with those people, let's say, with a visual necessity. But it's not about the student being able to. It's about the teacher being able to communicate properly. And there's always a way.
There's always a way. I recently interviewed a gentleman who is a young person. He is 19 years old, and he came here to do an internship last week with us. Misha is his name. And he said to me, it is important for people to know that blind people are able to do anything, everything that they want, they are able. It is about self-esteem. And maybe the only thing they cannot do, we will never be able to do, is maybe fly airplanes, because now cars, can drive you. So anyway, so he was saying that, and you're right. You just gave me the image of a class that I attended long ago when I was lucky and I visited Argentina. It was a tango class for blind people, and people that were blind, they didn't have to cover their eyes, but those that were sighted, they covered their eyes, and it was a fantastic class.
Yes, those are fantastic experiences, and they have a different perception of space, a different interaction with balance, and lots of different brain functions that are a lot more alive for them than to the rest of the population. And I would say having people from different types of background and with different specific situations in the class just adds a lot to the class. Not only to the teacher that has to improve its own teaching skills in order to embrace everybody, but at the moment the teacher does that or accomplishes that, the class naturally raises up and it's taken to the next level, and that benefits everybody else in the room as well. So I think it's excellent when I have the opportunity. I've worked with people from all different backgrounds and types of accidents and surgeries, and it's just fantastic to see how they actually add to the mix and how they help me to be a better teacher.
El maestro, that's how they call you. In one of these meetings that I was, you love teaching, and not everybody can do it. I know that. You have to have the magic,
I think everybody can do it as long as you like it. And you like people as well as what you do. It's just about enjoying and enjoyment.
This has gone so fast, 24 minutes already, and I need to close my program. So I just want to thank you again, Francisco,
Thank you,
for
Sana.
coming here to our studios of Audio Information Network of Colorado. And I hope you visit again and that your classes,
I'll
are
be
always
I'll
full.
be in
Please tell
Sacramento
us.
and then I'll be back to Boulder for another week, and then I think I'm done for most of this year, which is a problem for me because I love being here. Boulder is a sweet spot for me.
It's awesome to have you, and we hope you come back.
Thank you.
Once again, you're listening to Audio Information Network of Colorado. Please keep on tuning in. There you are.
Cool.
We did it. You can get out of here. And I have to say,
24:58.
yeah.
Good job. Good job.